Hello and welcome to Strange Stories. It's great to have you here. We are all about sharing stories of near-death experiences from around the world in the hopes of bringing some light and inspiration to your day. Our daily videos offer a glimpse into what lies beyond this life, and we believe that they can help us all appreciate the gift of life a little bit more. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest videos. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue to grow. And to our returning viewers, welcome back. We're thrilled to have you with us again. So go ahead, grab a cozy blanket, get comfy, and join us for today's incredible near-death experience story. Hello there, my name is Paul Northridge. I live in the United Kingdom. I live in Derbyshire, which is the center of the United Kingdom. It is approximately 2 miles from London. My near-death experience occurred when I was 14 years old. This meant that I was born with spina bifida. From the age of 0 to 16, I had numerous operations. I had one operation when I was 14 years old. So basically, the surgeon or the staff gave me medication prior to the operation. The muscle relaxant is in essence a muscle relaxant. They gave me a muscle relaxant for my thigh because it needed to be operated on. But this entire reaction was triggered by my body. My body was basically in excruciating pain. Basically, I began to notice that my hands were extremely painful. So I picked up my hands and thought, oh my gosh, they're huge and red. Oh my goodness, I'm thinking. So I told my surgeon, Mr. Newton, who's performed many of my operations. So I approached Mr. Newton, who was in the same room getting ready. Mr. Newton, take a look at this. I noticed the shock on his face as he turned around to look at me. And then I'm out, thinking I passed out as a 14-year-old lad. When I think back on this event, I think I passed out. The difference was that I was seeing black in my vision. I have no vision, but I have a soul. I don't have eyes. I no longer have any facial features. I don't have a nose, eyes, arms, or legs. But what I'm seeing now is black in my vision. So it feels like someone just took the electric book from me. So I'm seeing nothing but black. And then I'm going outwards from my body at an angle that's difficult to describe, but it felt like that kind of angle. So I'm no longer above my body. I'm just at an angle that allows me to see. Oh yes, that's my body. There were nurses and doctors attempting to resuscitate me. I wasn't scared. I wasn't thinking, oh my goodness, I'm dead. I'm going to die. Is it true that I died, or was it more of a realization of where I was? What am I doing? What's the state of my skin, my bearings? And I'm also becoming aware that, yes, that is my body, but there's no connection, no genuine desire to like, oh gosh, let's get back in there. That's not my impression at all. So I'm looking there. I'm looking because when you have these, when you're a soul, you have a full 360-degree view. Your focus will take you wherever it wants to go. So I'm looking in there, and then I'm going up like, oh, there's something else going on over there. So I'm like, okay, let's focus on this part now. And what was coming over towards me from a distance looked like a portal on the hospital room's wall. It appeared to be a portal with greenish, bluish colors opening up. And these beings are slowly approaching me. Well, not too slowly, but come towards me nonetheless. And then, as they approach me, we begin to converse. It didn't feel like a conversation was taking place until they got to me here. So we meet, and 3 beings are used to describe these beings. They appear to have a head, a couple of shoulders, and then they begin to dissolve. And in terms of color, it's like a silverish translucent with many colors coming off. So it's difficult to put into words in a human context, but they were nicely good. They have a lot of love loss, a lot of unconditional love. So these beings approached me and asked if I wanted to leave. And it was only after I agreed to leave that I was wished over to the next realm. I basically called the next realm home. So what that meant to me was that it was like a foundation for the vast majority of souls in this realm. It's almost like I'm seeing a city. It's extremely crowded, and so I saw souls coming in from that side as I was heading that way. I'm seeing my 360-degree views go around again. I see souls approaching with their guides. Then I see souls above me who've probably been there for a while and have been playing games. They're playing a game in the air with a ball of light chasing them. Some sort of entertaining game. Then I'm going to have a life review with them. But as I approach the life review section, it feels like it's almost in sections. But there are no rooms, and it feels very much like a section is going off. As I approach the life review section, I pass another soul. But my guides told me not to interrupt this soul here because it was like a cocoon, a bubble, or something was over it. Something seemed to be over it anyway. And they explained to me as I approached it that this soul had a bad experience and is simply healing itself from that trauma. As a result, I did not attend. I doubt I would have interrupted anyway, but I didn't. So I passed, and then I was interrupted. Then I went to the skills and life assessment. So the life review was similar to a well. Many people describe it as a well as well. As I look at this well in front of me, it appears to be a well. Then it's like it's coming at me. It's almost as if they merged together but became one. So at this point, when it comes into me, I can feel like I'm looking at my human experiences. So I could imagine Paul Northridge having his movie moment. At that point, it felt like a movie. So I'm 14, so I saw primary school age. So I'm about 6 or 7 years old. I was bullied a lot in school because I was born with a death. It was amazing. I was bullied a lot at school. So at the age of 6 or 7, I began to think, as a child, enough of this bullying. I'm going to change things up a little. And unfortunately, for a short time, I also became a bully. I found people who were easier to pick on because I couldn't chase them down. So I figured, okay, I'll just target weak people in school. That sounds terrible, but that's exactly what I did. Anyway, I'm looking at this like a beauty, and I can see it through their eyes, minds, and hearts. Oh, Paul has bullied me. The anguish, the rage, the uproar, that made me feel exactly what they were feeling. So looking back, it tells me that I'm you and me, that we are all one consciousness. So I realized that was going on later. So the next thing I noticed was the presence. And in the present, I could see my parents, who were in the kitchen thinking. I couldn't see them talking, but I could see what they were thinking. So thinking about his operation. Let's make a nice meal for him because when he's done, he loved this food that we're making for him. I'm curious how he's doing. All of these thoughts were racing through their heads, and I can see how they're progressing us. That I might be able to be that in the future. So I saw things that didn't make sense to me as a 14-year-old. As I got older, it makes more sense. So I noticed I was driving with a 14-year-old boy who was disabled. I immediately decided that I was not going to drive. I'll never drive again. So I assumed I'd be chauffeured by my parents. But when I was 17, I passed my driving test. And it was that moment that I realized, yes, I'm driving. It felt like excitement. So it was moments like that. Then I could see myself spending a lot of time in Russia. And again, as a 14-year-old, I had no idea it was a near-death experience. But when I got back from it all, I was like, what was Russia? What was it? I didn't believe I was perplexed. What was Russia doing in the first place? I wondered. As the years passed, I reached my 30s and married a Russian woman. So in 2008, I married a Russian woman. As a result, Russia occupies a significant portion of my heart. Then I could see things like using a cell phone at one point. It's a difficult time in my life. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I saw a phone in my hand and had a dark moment. But what was that great technology when I returned as a 14-year-old? You could do everything with this phone. This man was 14 at the time, and there were no cell phones. So I'm wondering, what was it? That was intriguing. What else did I notice? I saw my own death in the future. As a result, I believe I'll die in Russia. It appeared to be a person who was quite old, frail, and tired, and I noticed a lady standing next to the bed. On the other side of the bed, I noticed another lady. So I am assuming it's my wife or my daughter. As I approached, it appeared to be a flat and a Russian landscape. From that point forward, it appeared to be an out-of-body experience. I guess I appeared to be emerging from my body as an 80-year-old man, and it appeared as if I were leaving my body and seeing this landscape. That's why I'm assuming it looks like Russia. I also saw previous deaths, which was strange. So it wasn't like I'm seeing previous lives, but rather previous deaths. Maybe if I could akin to it and stop it, like in the Matrix film, I'd just keep that memory. Perhaps I could watch every second of it. Maybe I could, but I didn't think so. But I witnessed deaths, one of which was heinous. It was my death by wooden spikes. I could literally see myself looking upwards and seeing spikes. And it was as if a 14-year-old was thinking, that was gross. That was dreadful. Whatever it was terrible. As a result, I witnessed a wide range of deaths. What else did I notice? I had a formal education, some sort of formal education. This was like seeing the beginning of life. As a result of the sperm striking the egg, consciousness began to develop. The baby grows larger and larger in the tummy before being born. So it could be my own perception of birth and such. I'm not sure. It could be a wasp, but I noticed it. Then I saw cats, and like cats looking at their owners. Perhaps with our cats before. Perhaps one of our cats who was sitting and purring. And you can see similar colors coming up from the neck. Colors and shapes can be seen. So I noticed that. Then I saw dogs and the reasons why dogs exist to be loved unconditionally. It's almost like a lesson for humans to learn. They're very much unconditional love, whereas we should be more unconditional love. So I believe it is the type of aspect from which we should learn or could learn. They're also here to protect us. So have these instincts to look after, which is nice. I believe they have similar characteristics. I returned from Life Review to find these three beings with me once more. And the same goes for me. Paul, not Paul, means the same thing to me. Do you want to be Paul Northridge again, or do you want to stay the same? So looking back at my 14-year-old self, I'm thinking, well, my 14-year-old self is still young, and they're almost confirming that with me. Then I confirm, yes, that is correct. These guides and I are almost making agreements with each other. I'm 14 years old. You're correct. You still have a lot to learn. I still have a lot to learn. And you know, this agreement-making conversation, like go back to being me again, it almost felt like if I went to stay where I was, I'd instantly, well not immediately, but for a little while later, be Paul Northridge again. Later on, I'll have to deal with all of my childhood traumas, bullying, and operations. I'm thinking, no, I don't want to go through all of that again. I'm content to begin where I am now and continue where I am. At that point, I'm agreeing with my guides, and I'm seeing the light because people see it. They're beginning to see the light. At that point, I did see the light. And it's dark because, once again, I don't have eyes. I'm not delusory. As a result, I can see the light. It's warm and loving. And I say, okay, yes, I agree to resume my role as Paul Northridge. I don't remember anything else after that. When I say I agree to return as Paul Northridge, it's almost as if I agree with you. Bam! Then I wake up in the hospital after the surgery. As a result, it strongly suggests that I practice unconditional love. As a human being, I'm doing my best. It's difficult to be unconditionally loving all of the time. It's extremely difficult. To me, everyone is unique. As a result, it's difficult to be unconditional love all of the time. But I'm making the effort. Also, the spiritual feeling. I'm more spiritual as a person. I was raised in the Catholic tradition. I went to a Catholic school, and at the age of 12, I began to feel a little befuddled about it all. Because I was thinking, okay, I'm the only person with a disability in the entire school. Why is this so? And it was making me think about a lot of different things. And I'm wondering, why me? Why am I being harassed? As a result, I felt a little bit of rage coming off. So when I was believing in the concept of God and all that, I was thinking, so why me? Why didn't you just take me? As a result, I began to feel resentful, but then there's the near-death experience. I didn't feel anything when I returned and realized it wasn't a near-death experience. I realized it wasn't like a religious experience for me. Some claim to have seen Jesus. Some claim to have seen God. Personally, I did not. I couldn't make out any facial features, but I believe that everyone has their own set of experiences. We're all very distinct individuals. As a result, I don't really criticize bad religious people because I'm not allowed to say what they saw. They can't see what I'm seeing. As a result, I believe that everyone has a distinct experience because we're all unique individuals.